Good morning, true crime friends. How y'all doing? Listen, Brian Walshe, trial day 4. Ooh, his wife's lover was on the stand. It was messy. I could not have loved it more. We're going to get into it. But first, you know what you need to do. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it out, and hype this video. You get 3 hypes a week. If I could get a couple of those, oh, I would love it so much. Me and you, let's get to 30,000 subscribers together, hopefully before the new year. Okay, so look, picture it. Brian Walshe, trial day 4. And I was like, okay, this trial has been 100 kinds of crazy. What will trial day 4 bring us? And then the Commonwealth stands up and it's just like, we, the Commonwealth of, what state is this? Massachusetts, call William Fastow. And I was like, who is that? Why does that name ring a bell? And then he comes into the courtroom and I was like, what? I spy with my little eye. Is that her boyfriend? Oh, the boo thing takes the stand. Oh my God. I was positively beside myself because you know he got that TT, right? He has all the goods, all of them. And I want to hear every single one. So he gets on the stand and I was like, is it me or does he look a lot like Brian Walshe? Now, don't get me wrong. He's like, Brian Walshe is the Temu version of this guy. This William, he's fit, he makes money, he's not going to jail, he knows how to run a business, he's a successful real estate broker or whatever. And I was just like, I see. Now listen, was I attracted to him? No, absolutely not. But Anna clearly has a type. These Mama Lukes look a lot alike. Please hold. So he starts to tell the history of their relationship, right? Anna's old boss referred Anna to William. See also, remember the boss, her old boss who came to dinner New Year's Eve? That's the person who set these two up. Although he just set them up for a real estate transaction. He wasn't setting them up to do the horizontal mambo. Right. So he's like, a friend referred me. I'm a real estate agent. She wanted to buy like a big townhouse in, they said DC, but she was living in Maryland, in the DMV, that area. She bought, was it in Silver Spring, Chevy Chase, one of those suburbs of DC. She bought a $1.3 million townhouse in the suburbs of DC. And I was like, okay. And she was living there by herself, you say. No kids, you say. You're single, she's single. And he says they got close immediately. Really? You know the advantage of this? For him, at least, when you help somebody buy a house, you get to know them well. You spend a lot of time sitting in the car, driving around. I used to be a real estate agent, honey, I know. Plus, you can see all their personal financial business. You don't even have to run a credit check on a prospective date. You're like, oh, she can afford 1.5 and the bank is approving this. Okay, I know Heifer's doing something. Now, he didn't let the fact that she was married stop him, which might not have been the best move. Also, he was married but separated. And Mr. Fastow reported that, yeah, we got intimate pretty much immediately. Oh, okay. Soon after she closed on the house and moved to DC, he was like, hi, here's a basket of goodies for your new place. I bought you some nice, he's like, I bought you some nice cotton sheets. Let's try them out, girl. Let's hit the skids. Anyway, so he was asked, what did you two do together? He was like, oh, we went on yoga dates. You think her husband was going on yoga dates? I'm not sure her husband was healthy enough to bend over like a yoga date. She was like, oh my God, this is what it would be like if I weren't married to a total scumbag. This is amazing. They went to work functions together. She was his +1. He was her +1. They went to the movies. They went sailing. Y'all, they formed a full relationship. It was not just them doing, the in and out down there at the house. They were out here in these streets. And I was like, And he was like, yeah, we saw each other 2 to 3 times a week. Why, in my mind, if you're having an affair, you sneak out someplace and maybe you see each other twice a month? They were seeing each other 2 to 3 times a week. This was a full-fledged relationship. Although he pointed out he never slept over at her house, but she did sleep over at his. Okay. He told all of his friends about her, but she didn't tell her friends because, she, according to him, she had integrity. It was part of her integrity for her to tell Brian herself and not let him find out some other way. That's a good plan. Point of information. Might it have been more integrity for you to not be sleeping with this other man while you married to Brian? No judgment, because if I was married to Brian Child, the quickness with which I would have divorced his behind. But anyway, he was just like, we spent holidays together. And I was like, holidays, you say, like what? Oh, that time she ditched out on her family and spent Thanksgiving Day in Ireland with him. Ditched her kids to spend Christmas Eve with William, and then was trying to get back up to Boston for Christmas Day, and the flight was canceled or whatever. So she didn't even get home until the evening of Christmas Day. So you missed putting out the cookies for Santa Claus. You missed putting out carrots for the reindeer. You missed the shiny eyes of your children Christmas morning as they opened their presents from Santa, and you was hugged up with this, Mama Luke? Girl. Okay, she was seeing her future in his eyes. If you ask me, look, I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm just your friendly neighborhood gossip, but honey, I was like, And so then they started talking about the relationship a little bit. Hang on. She was like, William was like, yeah, she and Brian sometimes would fight a little bit. Apparently she saw on the credit card that Brian had been buying some sports memorabilia. Let me get this straight. A convicted fraudster, he's going to prison. He was supposed to go to federal prison for selling fake Andy Warhols. Now he's starting a sports memorabilia business. Isn't that where most fraudsters go? Let me just sign all of these baseballs and say they're from Mickey Mantle or other sports ball people. Y'all, I don't know nothing about sports. Anyway, he was just like, we had planned a New Year's Eve celebration on January 4th because Anna worked for Tishman Spear, and Tishman owns some big properties in Rockefeller Center. You know where the tree is and the ice is, and by all those gorgeous windows on Fifth Avenue. They were planning a trip to New York to see all the Christmassy things. This was a love affair. He had a love thing for her. I was like, okay. And he never, they weren't on each other's social medias. They were like trying to keep it low, except for when they were out sailing on his boat and going to work functions in DC. Okay. After she went missing, he shared all of her texts with the police, like you would do. And so the police were like, okay, so what plans did you have? What do you know about her? He was like, okay, I finished dibbling her kibbles and bits on Christmas morning, you celebrating the birth of Christ by doing the horizontal mambo with your boo thing. Okay, happy birthday, Jesus. Anyway, he was like, on January 4th, we had planned to get together and have dinner and discuss our 1, 3, and 5-year plans. Listen, I'm not a young woman. I've had many long-term relationships, and I've been in the same long-term relationship for these past 25 years. Never in the history of ever have I discussed 1, 3, and 5-year plans with anybody on any topic. I'm like, y'all are real organized and real analytical about this scandalous affair you having. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's curious. You know who didn't have a 1, 3, and 5-year plan? Brian. Aside from going to prison for that fraud he was doing, he was just like a little messy ball of nothing down there. And this dude is like, I have planned, I've done a spreadsheet, and here's a chart. It's a pivot table. So if you click here, you can get over to this section and see what we're going to be doing on October 22nd, 2032. Like, okay, sir, it just was odd, the discussion of 1, 3, and 5-year plans. According to William, the last time he heard from Anna, she sent a Happy New Year's text shortly after midnight or around midnight and pictures or whatever. And then after that, he didn't hear from her again. And he was like, I was concerned. And so the next day I sent her a message and a little video because I was on vacation with my kids and I didn't hear anything. And then he sent her like a waving hand emoji like, hey girl, hey, remember me and my 1, 3, and 5-year plan that's so romantic? And she didn't respond. And he was like, George, maybe she blocked me. She is home with that bag of snot that she's married to. Maybe he found out. Oh my God. If this was me, the way I would have been spiraling, you know, he was probably spiraling, even if just a little bit, like, oh, she probably told her husband, this not gonna go good. Our 1, 3, and 5 year plans are out the window. Oh my God, what else gonna do? And he was just like, right. Okay, if they had a conversation and she pulled out all her integrity and she was like, okay, I have to tell you, I've been dibbling the kibbles and bits of the realtor. Okay, maybe she blocked me. Maybe that's all. Okay. I'm gonna call from this landline because she doesn't know this landline. So he called from the landline and the call went to voicemail. And he was just like, something strange is happening. And then he gets a call on January 4th from Brian Walshe. And he was like, uh-oh, Anna's missing. She's not returning my phone calls. Now her husband's calling me. This probably not gonna go good. So I'm just gonna let this go to voicemail. I'm gonna push this off to voicemail. And he was just like, you know, he was scared. And the Commonwealth was like, well, what were you afraid of? He was like, I was sleeping with this man's wife and now he's calling me. I thought maybe he wanted to confront me. And I was like, oh, he's big and scary. And he could probably sit on me or cut me into pieces. And I was just like, maybe not. So when Brian called the second time that same day, he was like, I'm going to push this to voicemail, but this time I'm going to listen to the voicemail. And the voicemail was like, hey, listen, it's Brian Walshe. She's like, okay, he doesn't sound homicidal. Okay, maybe he doesn't know yet. And then Brian goes on to explain, Anna is missing. And so if you could give me a call back, I'm just calling around to her friends and family and assorted lovers in DC. Thanks so much. So he immediately called back and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm driving my car right now. I could swing by her place and see. Obviously, I've only been there under real estate circumstances. I've barely seen your wife naked, but if you could give me the garage code, I'm happy to go in and check and see if she's there. And Brian is like, oh, that's great. Thanks so much. Then the defense team gets up to cross-examine. And I was like, okay, defense team, give us your best. And the defense team was like, so her old boss introduced you for a business purpose and you just gonna diddle the kibbles and bits of this lady. And he's like, it was like, we connected. It was just light diddlation. These things happen. And he was just like, they were like, so Brian was upset that she missed Christmas Eve with her children and spent the night at your house. And he was just like, there was the flight and the snowstorm and whatever. He's like, right. Did you know, had Brian ever reached out to you before the she's missing call? And he was like, well, Brian called me one time when she and I were out to dinner, but I just sent it to voicemail because, he seemed scary. That's not what he said, but that's the spirit of what he was giving. He's like, I just sent that call to voicemail. I was about to suck his wife's toes and it didn't seem like a good time to take a call from him. And then he said, later Anna called back and was like, oh, hey, did you call the real estate agent? And he was like, oh, the kids had the phone. They must have dialed you. Lies. And I was just like, okay. And they were like, so you were going to work events with her in DC. And he was like, yeah, but I just was her plus one. Because she and I were having an illicit affair. And so sometimes when your husband is on house arrest home in Boston, you could go to work events with your girlfriend who's also married and you hope your own wife doesn't find out. And I was like, right. And so he was just like, did you ever meet Brian Walshe? Brian was planning to come to DC with the kids. And he was like, right. Yeah, I heard her say that. But I was saying to her, you have to figure out what that's going to look like. I guess he wasn't thinking that was going to look like her in bags and dumpsters. It's absolutely horrible. And then he was just like, the defense attorney was like, you were in a position to be getting together with anybody anyway. He's like, well, I was not fully divorced. And they were like, no. Remember when you said you're on a text message, your kid was saying he couldn't imagine you with anybody else. He's like, oh, right. My family and my children. Yeah. There's that. I kind of want to know, is this dude still single? And like, what does he tell? Like, see, listen, I was dating this girl and her husband unfortunately unalived her. Does it make you shy to date other people? I have so many questions that have nothing to do with this trial. Anyway, the defense team was like, but Anna spoke sweetly of Brian, didn't she? And this dude was like, I mean, yeah, mm-hmm. And they were like, did you send her intimate messages? And he's like, I'm so embarrassed. Yes. And they were like, but you deleted them. What was in the messages, boy? And I was like, yeah, what was in those messages? And he was like, I mean, it was nothing crazy. I just sent her like some sweet, sappy messages. And then I was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed that I detailed which piggy I wanted to suck and which piggy went to the market and which piggy stayed home. And it was that time I demonstrated that her whole foot could fit in my mouth. And I was juggling her. Okay, I'm embarrassed talking about it. So yeah, I was embarrassed by some of our messages. And so I deleted them. Can we please stop talking about this? And so then the defense team was like, I'm done with you. I mean, that's not what they said, but they were just like, okay, we're done. We rest, whatever. We rest, or like we surrender the witness. And so this dude got to leave and go back to the rest of his regular life the way I want to have lunch with him. Not so he can dibble my kittles and bits, but so I could ask him all the nosy questions. Really? Did your wife know about this? Do your children now know about this? Are you dating somebody new? What does the new girlfriend think about it? Did you start dating women that were fully divorced as opposed to those who have husbands on house arrest and busted? I have so many questions. Anyway, then this paint salesman was called to the stand, and I was like, what? And this guy was like, hi, my name is Paint Salesman. And I used to work at this company. And this dude, we had a special going on. And I was calling the old customers to say, hey, do you need any work done? And I got Brian on the phone. He called me back and he's like, hey, this is a new number. Can you fix a hole in my bedroom ceiling? And I was like, why do we have this witness? I don't understand. And like, that was it. This dude left. And I was like, huh? I don't get it. But it comes back around. That little tidbit that the Commonwealth dropped gets all woven in a little later. But at the time I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Then they had these two ladies from Bar Method. Bar Method is some torture that you pay people money and you pretend to be a ballerina and they torture you real bad. That was my understanding of how the Bar Method worked. But these two ladies, one was the owner of the exercise studio and the other was the instructor, and they were super duper into it and they explained everything about it. And I thought, people pay for this? I don't. It's not for me. Everything is not for everybody. I was a ballerina when I was little. I took them little ballet class. Child, I was a little fat ballerina in a tutu. Imagine an apple with glasses on and a tutu. It was not cute. Also, I was clumsy and kept falling down, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, these ladies explained that in Bar Method, child, they could not have said Bar Method more. They must have said it 100,000 times. You work your muscles to exhaustion and then you stretch them. Nope, no, thank you. But Anna took the classes. She was really good at it. She like went above and beyond. All that to say she was healthy. Okay, cool. Then this lady from the nail salon, y'all, the way I love a nosy neighbor. Now, she was not like a neighbor in the neighborhood. She was a neighbor in the salon chair next to Anna. This heifer, I loved her so much. I don't remember her name. She was like, so I was down to the, twinkle toes getting a pedicure, and I was in a chair next to this lady, and we had a lovely conversation. And then a few days later, I was like, wait, this lady is missing. I saw her at the nail salon. Hello, police. I have a lot of information. And let me tell you every single thing I know. She wanted ballerina pink on her toes. We sat there talking about her kids. She didn't tell me she had a lover, but I've been reading about it all in the papers. She bent the ear of those police officers and told them every single thing. All the things they didn't care about, she told them. And I was like, yes, man. She's like, I got nothing but free time. I will come in and I will spill all the tea. Wait, do I get to be on court TV? I get to go to court too. Let me get my nails done again. So I am ready for my close-up. So she came and she sat down and she spilled a big nothing burger other than to say Anna was fine. Okay. Them Bar Method ladies told us that. But she's like, Anna did not appear to have any injuries. Okay, Gladys Kravitz, it's so nice to have you here. Y'all know that would have been me. I would have been, I saw her one time. Can I go? Can I be on the stand? Hello, Court TV. Vinnie Politan, I will do an exclusive interview. Don't mind me. Anyway, So she got off the stand. You know, she's dining on this story for like the next 10 years. Then some daycare lady came up and was like, Brian dropped the kids off at the daycare all the time. Even after the unfortunate unalive, and he was still dropping the kids off. He was an involved father. Okay. Sometimes Brian's mama dropped the kids off too. Great, lovely, good to hear it. And then another fascinating witness took the stand. Y'all know how much I love the regular people. The police can get up and say whatever. I love when regular people take the stand. They don't know the rules. They just gonna say what they're gonna say, and they're gonna give you the information. And that is where all the color commentary comes in trials. So this lady, who, of course, I don't remember her name. She was the general manager of a local apartment building. She's like, hi, I'm busy. I have 12 other things to do. I run every single thing. What do you need to know? Yes, I'm the general manager of this apartment building. I know everything. I know everybody. Every trial has this person. Every single trial. And I love her. She was just like, look, I know everything. What you need to know? You want to know how many hairs is on his big toe? I might know that too. And I might know it for every resident. And they were like, right. Are there any residents who own an Audi, whatever kind of car this was? She's like, no, I have memorized all the cars of all the residents. And no, none of our residents had that car. I'm like, ma'am, how do you even know? Right. Because she knows everything, every single thing. And then the defense gets up and they were like, right, the garbage cans, they weren't like blocked off or anything. She was like, well, they were behind a gate and there were signs that said there's cameras watching you, but there was no sign that told what day the garbage pickup was. And they were like, okay, great, thank you. And I was like, hi, can I have lunch with you? Me, you, and that nail lady, and possibly the side piece? Let's all get together for lunch. I'll drive down to DC. The Acela goes right there. Anyway, so then this cell phone cop got up and I was like, oh, I'm about to be bored again. Lord, I like the regular people better. Anyway, so he's just like, hi, I'm a cell phone police officer and I was in the Karen Reed trial, reportedly, allegedly. I didn't watch that trial, so I don't know nothing about it. Anyway, he was like, I got the phones and the iPads and stuff and I extracted them and I'm gonna give you a whole bunch of information that's very, very boring and kind of confusing. But look, between me and you, curtain twitchers, I have boiled it down to a few key points. He got all the phones. He downloaded all the information using the special technology. Brian's phone was pinging all over town. It pinged at his mama's house, but not at her house, pinged at her garbage cans over at the trash compactor. His phone pinged at Lowe's and then at assorted dumpsters at apartment complexes all over town. Child, he went to Walgreens. He went to Home Goods. He went to all the stores. Look, those people are murdering on a budget. Not this Mama Luke. He's like, excuse me, with this shopping cart with $800,000 worth of cleaning materials and suspicious looking tools, don't mind me, while wearing rubber gloves. He's horrible. And then he went on to detail more of Brian's Google searches. And I was like, okay, you have my attention. Brian, who reportedly allegedly didn't know anything about the boo thing, that side piece, was just like, he Googled William Fastow. I'm like, oh, you knew the name of her sneaky link. Okay. You act like you ain't know this dude, but you knew who he was. And then he Googled right around Christmas time when Anna went missing. You know Brian suspected. He was just like, let me Google sneaky link William Fastow. Oh, look, his picture comes right up. This is the man who's diddling my wife when I'm over here with the kids baking cookies for Santa. Then he Googled JetBlue Christmas plane crash. What? I don't think you would have to Google it if a plane actually crashed on Christmas. I think everybody would be reporting that. Anyway, and then he Googled Anna Walshe found dead. This is what I think, y'all. This is the gospel according to Kathy. I feel it in my spirit. I have no facts to back this up. But in my mind, what happened was she didn't show up on Christmas Eve. And he was like, wah. She's probably over there hugged up with her boo thing while I'm over here putting out cookies and stuff for Santa Claus and carrots for the reindeer, and she's not home. Let me try some ideas that are just rolling around in my head. Anna Walshe found dead. To me, that Google search demonstrated premeditation because she was alive and well. It would be a whole week before he unfortunately unalived her. And then he Googled all my exes. Okay, you're thinking to yourself, I'm gonna get rid of this heifer. And then he Googled how to file a missing persons report. He continued to Google other things. He Googled William Fastow a couple times. He Googled, I Am Good. I hear that's a song. I don't know. He was like probably making his playlist for when he unfortunately unalived her. That's just what I think. Anyway, and then you see the text between him and the paint guy. And I was like, why did we have this paint guy here? Right. The text between Brian Walshe and the paint guy established that Brian was using one of his children's cell phones. Because you could say like, oh, this number texted that number. But one of the texts to the paint guy said, hi, it's me, Brian. This is another phone number that I'm using. He was texting from his child's phone. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm putting that all together. Then he also texted some of Anna's co-workers. He texted friends. He texted family. And then the cell phone guy went on and on and on to talk about this phone number, that number. The numbers got confusing. I got bored, child. I was yawning and thinking to myself, have they arrested Wendy Adelson yet? I wonder what she's doing. I think they should arrest her. But that's another case. And so then the day ended. And I was like, okay, on Fridays, they only work half days at this case. But that's okay. I'm going to be all up in it. I'm going to be nosy. I'm going to be minding their business. Listen, you stay safe out there, and I will see you next crime. Bye.